In this video, we're going to go over the history of The Legend of Zelda and how it helped build the foundation for today's current gaming industry.
Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!, Super Mario Bros., Kid Icarus, and Metroid are among Nintendo's biggest sellers. But so far, none has surpassed Zelda in popularity.
You play a medieval elf named Link.
You travel through many worlds, meeting endless characters on your eternal adventures.
Quest few are prepared for, and fewer still survive.
You are our final hope. The fate of Hyrule rests with you. Wake up, Link.
In 1986, when The Legend of Zelda debuted on the Nintendo Entertainment System, the gaming landscape was dominated by side-scrolling action titles and arcade ports. But this game, designed by the legendary Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka, was something completely different. It introduced a sprawling open world, non-linear gameplay, and an unprecedented sense of exploration that left players in awe. For the first time on a home console, players could roam freely through a vast digital land, discovering secrets, battling enemies, and solving intricate puzzles at their own pace. It wasn't just a game, it was an adventure unlike anything seen before. From the very beginning, The Legend of Zelda set new standards in game design. It launched on the NES in Japan on February 21, 1986, with a North American release following on August 22, 1987. The game was packaged in a striking gold-colored cartridge, an iconic marketing move that only added to its mystique. Unlike most games of the era, which relied on passwords or required players to finish in one sitting, The Legend of Zelda introduced a revolutionary internal battery save system, allowing players to record their progress, a feature that would become standard in future role-playing and adventure games. Set in the land of Hyrule, the game follows Link, a young hero tasked with rescuing Princess Zelda from the clutches of the dark warlord Ganon. To do so, players needed to collect 8 pieces of the Triforce of Wisdom, hidden within treacherous dungeons guarded by formidable foes. But what truly made Zelda special was its emphasis on player freedom. Unlike other NES titles that followed a strict level-based progression, Zelda allowed players to explore dungeons in different orders, uncovering secrets and improving their skills along the way. It was a game of curiosity and experimentation, rewarding those who dared to venture off the beaten path. The development of The Legend of Zelda was heavily influenced by Miyamoto's childhood experiences. As a boy growing up in Sonobe, Japan, he loved exploring forests, caves, and lakes, discovering hidden places that sparked his imagination. He wanted to replicate that same sense of wonder and discovery in a video game. The result was Hyrule, a vast, interconnected world filled with mysteries waiting to be uncovered. Miyamoto himself described Zelda as an attempt to create a miniature garden, where players could experience the thrill of exploration and discovery at their own pace. The game was made with a top-down perspective, which gave players a bird's-eye view of the action. This design choice, inspired by tabletop role-playing games and dungeon crawlers, allowed for complex level layouts and strategic combat. Players wielded swords, bombs, and bows, while also using items like the boomerang and magical wands to solve puzzles and defeat enemies. The game's difficulty was unforgiving by today's standards, with no tutorials, no hand-holding, and cryptic clues that forced players to rely on their wits, or Nintendo's tip hotline.
How do you get the wand? Is the wand in 7?
No, you're going to get the red candle in 7, just like in the first quest.
How do you get the Triforce?
Okay, there's another secret passage. You know where that room that has nothing in it?
Oh, yeah.
From a technical standpoint, The Legend of Zelda was a marvel of its time. It ran on the NES's Rico 2A03 processor with a 2 kilobyte RAM chip, utilizing a 128 kilobyte cartridge, an unusually large capacity for the era. The game also featured an innovative enemy AI system that adjusted difficulty based on the player's actions, making each encounter feel dynamic and unpredictable. The cost of the game at launch was $49.99, a hefty price tag in 1987, but one that players found well worth it given the game's depth and replayability. The game's massive success was immediate. It sold over 6.5 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling NES games of all time. The Legend of Zelda was one of the first games to prioritize world-building and environmental storytelling, a concept that later became foundational in games like Final Fantasy, The Elder Scrolls, and even Grand Theft Auto. It also influenced the structure of later action-adventure games, with its mix of combat, puzzle-solving, and exploration becoming a standard for the genre. The sequel, Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, released in 1987, introduced side-scrolling gameplay elements, a departure from the top-down perspective of the original. It also introduced RPG-like mechanics, including an experience system and spell-based combat. Despite mixed reception due to its high difficulty, the game expanded the series' lore and introduced the concept of multiple towns and NPC interactions, elements that would influence future Zelda titles. In 1991, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past returned to the top-down perspective and refined the formula that made the original a hit. And most importantly, this game introduced the Master Sword. Released on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, this entry introduced the concept of a dual-world mechanic, where players could switch between the light world and the dark world, solving puzzles that spanned both dimensions. It also established many of the series' defining mechanics, such as the hook shot and the spin attack. 1993 saw the release of Link's Awakening for the Game Boy, the first Zelda game on a handheld system. It introduced a more character-driven story and surreal elements, including cameos from other Nintendo franchises. Its 2019 remake for the Nintendo Switch modernized the classic with updated graphics and quality-of-life improvements. 1998 saw the release of The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64, a game that redefined the series and 3D gaming as a whole. It introduced the Z-targeting system, allowing for precise combat mechanics, and brought Hyrule to life with a vast open world. Many regard it as one of the greatest games of all time, setting a new standard for action-adventure titles with its engaging dungeons, memorable characters, and emotionally compelling story. Following Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask introduced a darker, time-based gameplay system. Set in the parallel world of Termina, the game required players to relive the same 3-day cycle repeatedly, using masks to transform and gain unique abilities. This experimental design made it one of the most unique entries in the series. 2002's The Wind Waker was another dramatic departure, using cel-shaded graphics that gave it a more cartoonish look. While initially controversial, the art style has since been praised for its timeless aesthetic. The game also introduced extensive sailing mechanics and a rich oceanic world to explore. The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess marked a return to a darker, more realistic aesthetic, resembling Ocarina of Time in tone. It introduced horseback combat, motion-controlled swordplay on the Wii, and the character of Midna, one of the most beloved side characters in the series. In 2011, The Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword aimed to use the Wii's motion controls more extensively, with one-to-one swordplay mimicking real-life movements. Though divisive due to its linear structure and reliance on motion controls, it deepened the Zelda timeline, revealing the origins of the Master Sword. And then we reach the masterpiece that redefined the series.
Wake up, Link.
Going back to the roots of the first game concept, Breath of the Wild. This game brought the true meaning of freedom and open-world game design. Going through Hyrule, you soon realize everything functions as it would in the real world, and if you think something could be possible, it most likely is. And the best part, Link can climb anything, and I mean anything, as long as it's not raining though. Released for both the Wii U and Nintendo Switch, it stripped away many traditional Zelda conventions in favor of physics-based interactions, emergent gameplay, and non-linear progression, setting a new gold standard for the franchise. And just as Breath of the Wild took our breaths away, came Tears of the Kingdom. Building on same mechanics, expanding vertical exploration, and introducing new fusion-based item interactions. Now Link doesn't only have the unstoppable ability to climb anything you desire, he also wields unmatching merging skills and can make practically anything you can imagine, from basic weapons, vehicles, and hovers, to more complex builds. Why would you ever want to finish the game with so many possibilities? We won't cover all of the games, as there have been a total of 46 Zelda titles, with all mainline entries, spin-offs, and re-releases over the years. If you're interested in a more detailed deep dive into all of the Zelda games, be sure to drop a comment down below and like this video. Alright, now that we covered the basics of games and game design, Let's talk about the lore. There should be a story to all of these games, right? Well, yes, but not all of them follow the exact same storyline. And as every timeline depicting events from the multiverse, it gets kind of confusing. Especially because Miyamoto's comments about the timeline don't seem congruent with the game's development. It all starts with A Link to the Past, which cemented the mythology of Hyrule. This was where we first learned about the Sacred Realm and the Triforce, an artifact of unimaginable power left behind by the goddesses that created everything Din, Nayru, and Furore. The Triforce is made up of 3 separate triangles that each representing the virtue of their creators: power, wisdom, and courage. To protect the Triforce goddesses created Hylia, a guardian goddess that lived amongst mortals. The Triforce shared the limitless power of the goddesses and granted the desires of whoever touched it. And as expected, that often leads to chaos. Enter Ganondorf, a power-hungry warlord who seizes the Triforce and twists the sacred realm into the dark world. The main timeline is unveiled in Ocarina of Time, where Ganondorf, the king of the Gerudo, touches the Triforce within the sacred realm. As his heart is filled with greed and ambition, he is unable to balance the 3 virtues, causing the Triforce to split into 3 separate pieces. Ganondorf retains the Triforce of Power, while the Triforce of Wisdom is granted to Princess Zelda, and the Triforce of Courage finds its way to Link. Game introduced one of the most debated aspects of Zelda lore, the timeline split. Link's defeat of Ganondorf created 3 divergent timelines, one where he remained in the past, another where he vanished, and a third where he won as an adult. This branching history set the course for future games. The first branch, known as the Decline Timeline, occurs if the hero is defeated. In this timeline, Ganon takes the Triforce, and a new Link emerges to defeat him in A Link to the Past. This leads to Link's Awakening, Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, a link between worlds, Triforce heroes, and ultimately the Legend of Zelda and the Adventure of Link, which depict the final battle against Ganon's remnants. The adult timeline follows the events where the hero defeats Ganon and leaves. In this timeline, Hyrule is flooded to prevent Ganon's return, leading to the events of the Wind Waker, where Link and Zelda battle him in a drowned kingdom. Phantom Hourglass serves as a direct sequel, following Link's adventures at sea, while Spirit Tracks is set a century later in a new kingdom where Link and Zelda battle an ancient evil. The second branch, the Child Timeline, occurs if Link is victorious but sent back in time. Majora's Mask took us to Termina, a parallel world where Link is trapped in an endless 3-day cycle before the moon crashes into the land. This installment pushed Zelda into psychological and existential territory, weaving a story about grief, time, and the acceptance of fate. Every character in Termina had their own struggles and routine, forcing Link to engage with their lives in order to break free from the doomed cycle. Fast forward to Twilight Princess, which introduced the Twilight Realm in a story dripping in dark fantasy. This game expanded Zelda's lore by exploring Hyrule's ancient past and the shadowy forces that once threatened it. The Twilight, an exiled race, were once powerful sorcerers who attempted to seize control of the Sacred Realm, only to be banished to the Twilight Realm. Midna, their rightful ruler, sought Link's help to reclaim her kingdom, uncovering Ganon's manipulation behind the scenes. This entry solidified the idea that Link isn't just one person, he's the embodiment of an eternal cycle of heroism. It also introduced the hero's shade, revealed to be the spirit of a fallen Link from a past age, suggesting that even heroes who save the world are not immune to regret and longing. Then there's Skyward Sword, which pulled us all the way back to the origin of the series' mythology. Here, we met Demise, the original Demon King, who, in his dying breath, cursed Link and Zelda to be reborn throughout time, forever locked in battle against his reincarnations. This revelation gave new meaning to Ganondorf's existence, not just as a villain, but as the physical embodiment of Demise's hatred. This game also introduced Hylia, a goddess who fought against Demise and later reincarnated as Zelda, making her more than just a princess. She was a divine figure tasked with protecting the world from an unending cycle of destruction. And then came Breath of the Wild, a game that completely reinvented how Zelda stories were told. Instead of a structured narrative, it presented a broken Hyrule where players had to uncover the past through exploration and memories. The Great Calamity had shattered the kingdom, leaving only ruins and whispers of what once was. This open-ended storytelling felt fresh, yet still carried the echoes of Zelda's timeless cycle. The Sheikah, an ancient tribe that had long been relegated to the background of the series, took center stage here, revealing their advanced technology and the role they played in Hyrule's downfall. The presence of the divine beasts, mechanical constructs created to fight Ganon, showed a new take on the classic Zelda mythos, one where technology and magic were interwoven, hinting at a past even older than known history. Finally, Tears of the Kingdom expanded on Breath of the Wild's foundation, delving into the ancient Zonai civilization and their hidden influence over Hyrule's past. This installment wove together forgotten histories, lost magic, and technological wonders, further proving that Zelda's storytelling continues to evolve in ways that surprise and intrigue. The game revealed that the very founding of Hyrule may have been influenced by beings more powerful than the goddesses themselves, suggesting that the history of Hyrule is even more complex than previously imagined. And let's not forget the lingering mysteries that keep fans theorizing. What is the true origin of Majora's Mask? Is the hero's spirit in Twilight Princess proof that Link's soul remembers past lives, always leaving room for wonder and discovery? The influence of The Legend of Zelda doesn't end with its mainline titles. Over the years, the franchise has spawned an array of spin-offs, crossovers, and unexpected appearances in other media that further solidify its place in gaming history. One of the first major Zelda spin-offs was Link's Crossbow Training, a light gun-style shooter for the Wii that used the Wii Zapper accessory. While it was a simple arcade-style experience, it reinforced the massive popularity of Twilight Princess and gave fans a unique way to experience Hyrule. Similarly, Hyrule Warriors brought Zelda into the world of hack and slash, combining characters from across the series into a Dynasty Warriors-style battlefield. This game not only allowed players to wield the might of characters like Midna, Impa, and even Tingle, but it also expanded the lore by exploring alternate timelines and what-if scenarios. Then, of course, there's Cadence of Hyrule, an unexpected crossover with Crypt of the Necrodancer that turned the land of Hyrule into a rhythm-based dungeon crawler. This quirky indie collaboration reimagined the series' classic formula while staying true to its core themes of adventure and discovery. Another notable spin-off was freshly picked Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land, an odd game, a very, very odd game featuring Tingle, the rupee-obsessed mapmaker from Majora's Mask. The game starts with Tingle, a 35-year-old man trapped in the monotony of everyday life, until he finds Uncle Rupee, who persuaded him to reach paradise in Rupee Land, where you can do nothing, eat only the best food, and the women love you. And that's just the beginning of the unconventional weird world of freshly picked Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land. Did we need this game? Probably not, but Japan gave it to us anyway. Beyond gaming, Zelda has made its mark in other media. The infamous Legend of Zelda animated series from 1989 gave us Link's legendary and often memed catchphrase,
"Excuse me, princess."
While the show was short-lived, it remains a nostalgic relic of Zelda's early mainstream appeal. The franchise has also appeared in comics and manga adaptations that dive deeper into the backstories of Link, Zelda, and even Ganon. These comics, loosely based on the adventure of Link, took major creative liberties with the source material, portraying Link as a cocky, wisecracking hero in a world filled with bizarre scenarios. The storytelling often felt like it was making things up as it went, like the time Link and Zelda get their hands on the Triforce of power, and Link gets corrupted by power until he literally turns into Ganon and a bunch of beasts commit themselves to serving him. While far from canon, the Valiant comics remain a fascinating and hilarious piece of Zelda history, capturing a more unhinged take on Hyrule, long before Tears of the Kingdom let us fuse megalogs. The influence of Zelda can also be felt in Super Smash Bros., where Link, Zelda, Ganondorf, and Sheik have been staple fighters since Super Smash Bros. Melee. Each entry in the series brings new representations of the Zelda universe, with stages like Hyrule Temple and Great Plateau Tower immersing players in familiar landscapes. But let's talk about something more exclusive: collector's items. Zelda has produced some of the most sought-after gaming memorabilia in history. Sealed copies of The Legend of Zelda in mint condition have sold for upwards of $800,000, making it one of the most valuable video game collectibles ever. Limited edition items, such as the gold-colored Ocarina of Time Nintendo 64 cartridge, are highly prized among fans. Nintendo has also released special collector's editions of games. often bundled with exclusive items like replica master swords, intricate game guides, and collectible soundtrack CDs. One of the most extravagant collectibles ever released was the Breath of the Wild Master Edition, which included a Sheikah slate carrying case, a collectible coin, and a detailed world map. There are also rare statues, such as the first 4-figure renditions of Link and Zelda, which can fetch thousands of dollars on the resale market. Additionally, there have been Zelda-themed amiibo figures, which not only serve as collectibles, but also unlock unique in-game content, such as special weapons and outfits. The Zelda universe has also inspired a thriving fan community that creates everything from elaborate cosplay to breathtaking fan art. Cosplayers and prop makers have also taken inspiration from the series, creating stunning replicas of the Master Sword, Hylian shield, and even full sets of Link's armor from various games. Few video game franchises have had an impact as profound and far-reaching as The Legend of Zelda. Across decades, Zelda has influenced nearly every major gaming genre, redefining adventure, exploration, storytelling, and open-world mechanics. The innovations introduced by the series have not only shaped the landscape of modern gaming, but have also inspired some of the most successful and beloved games of all time. From its revolutionary open-world design to its innovative storytelling and combat mechanics, The Legend of Zelda remains one of the most important and influential franchises in gaming history. While Halo revolutionized first-person shooters and Minecraft redefined sandbox games, Zelda has consistently been at the forefront of adventure game evolution, shaping the very DNA of modern gaming. It continues to be the gold standard by which adventure games are measured, ensuring that its legacy will influence the industry for generations to come. Thanks for joining me on this journey through the vast and magical world of The Legend of Zelda. If you enjoyed this deep dive, show some love and drop a like, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more videos like this one. See you in the next one.